out there, and we can't stop to go back for anything that we might lose. You also might want to tuck anything in those net bags in front of you that you don't want to lose out there. All right, we've got our clearance for the Wharton, so to win day, that means let's go. Well, Jambo, folks, my name is Alex, your expert safari driver for the next 2 weeks on our photo safari to the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. That's right, I said photo safari. If you are planning on taking pictures and your camera has a strap, I'd recommend using it. You're going to hit some rough road out there, like I said, and unfortunately we can't stop to go back for anything that we might lose out there. So it goes for any of the personal belongings as well. You might want to tuck into the net bags in front of you. Now, above your head, you're going to see a game spotting guide helping to identify some of the animals we might get a chance to see out there today. Now, I can't guarantee we'll see all of them, but I can guarantee that we are going to have quite the adventure out there. Now, once again, before we do another reserve, I want to remind you one more time to stay seated at all times, hands and arms inside for both you as well as the animal safety. Very, very important. And before we do another reserve, we are going to be required to check in with our airborne wardens constantly patrolling the 800 square miles of the reserve as one of our many defenses against poaching. We'll go ahead and do that in just one quick second here. All right, let's go. Airborne patrol, this is Simba 1. Do you read me?
This is Warden Wilson Mutua. Over.
Jambo Wilson, Simba 1 is entering the reserve right now at the Woodlaturi Forest.
I'm Jambo, Simba 1. Keep your eyes open and drive carefully. You should see lots of animals.
Roger that, Wilson, will do. And we are going to start off with one of my favorites coming up on the right-hand side called an okapi, this brown animal with the stripes on his legs. Now, you might guess from the stripes that it's related to the zebra. That's kind of what they look like, right? But they're actually the only known relative of the giraffe. Okapi are very shy, reclusive animals, spending most of their time in dense forests, so they weren't actually discovered by the Western world till 1901. Tiny little gray antelope walking around out there with them called a yellow-backed duiker with a stripe on his legs. And you might guess from the, or on its back rather, you might guess from the stripe that it's related to the zebra. Yellow-backed duiker get their name from the Afrikaans word for diver, in reference to the tendency of diving headfirst into bushes to escape predators. Pretty significant watering hole coming up on our left-hand side here, and there's actually an animal on this hillside on our right as well that looks a little bit like a deer, but is actually a member of the antelope family. In fact, the second tallest antelope in all of Africa, called greater kudu. A couple large birds coming up on our left-hand side called the yellow-billed stork, which will eat pretty much anything: fish, snakes, frogs, even other small birds. Alright, now we don't have too good of a view, but if you look right up on this hillside, right past our wildlife researchers out there, you can actually see a black rhino. Now, black rhino can weigh about 3,000 pounds each, and with 1-inch thick hide can run about 35 miles per hour, which you'd think would make them pretty much indestructible, unfortunately except at the hands of humans. Black rhino have been heavily poached to the point that there are actually now less than 5,000 left in the wild. So, just like Wilson said, folks, to keep your eyes open, because especially here in the forest, many of the animals' natural colors help them to blend in with their surroundings. An excellent natural defense against predators, but it does make it difficult for us to spot them sometimes. You can sort of see it soaring up there on the left-hand side. More large native birds off in the distance over here on the left called saddle-billed stork, the large black and white birds way back in the bushes out there. When they're standing up there, the tallest stork in all of Africa, about 5 feet tall, with a wingspan of 8 to 9 feet. We're going to start making our way down toward the South River Valley, see what kind of trouble we can't get into down this way. This particular pass can get a little bit choppy, so you may even want to hang on. Obviously, the South River is going to be our best chance to spot some water-dwelling animals. That is, if we do get lucky. And first splash. Now, we don't have too good of a view, but if you look a little bit further down the river, you can see some really large boulders submerged out there. Those are actually hippos. Let's see if we can try to get a little bit closer. Got a few more large native birds out here as well. The large white birds on the island are pink-backed pelicans. Pink-backed pelicans will actually work together to herd fish into shallow water to make it easier for them to catch. And if you look really closely, you can even see some baby pelicans out there on the island. Quite a few hippos submerged in the river down here to our left-hand side. This is a pretty typical view. Hippos do spend almost all day underwater. It's a great way for them to keep their bodies cool, and they can hold their breath for about 5 to 8 minutes at a time. That being said, they're not actually very good swimmers. They really just sink and walk along the bottom. No judgment, though. I'm sure I would too if I weighed 5,000 pounds. Strictly speaking, they are nocturnal. They usually only come out of the river in the evening hours. When they do, they can eat as much as 150 pounds of vegetation each day. 150 pounds. Excellent view of the whole South River Valley. Lots more native birds scattered around. Once we come around the corner, though, we are going to be crossing a pretty rickety-looking bridge up ahead. So once again, just remember to stay seated for me, please. Hands and arms inside, just in case. Oh, you know what? Actually, it's going to be especially important to stay seated here, because if you look down to the left, those are Nile crocodiles down there. Ooh. Nile crocodile are much larger and much more aggressive than the American alligator, growing to be about 18 to 20 feet long, which is about as long as a giraffe is tall. And their jaws are super strong, designed to crush the bones of their prey at about 1,200 psi. Oh, and they look awfully hungry. This bridge doesn't sound too good. Let's get out of here.
Simba 1, come in.
This is Simba 1. Over.
Just wanted to let you know that my ground patrol has seen a lot of elephant activity near the Red Clay Pit. You definitely want to check out that area.
Roger that, Wilson. We're actually headed that way now.
This is the
I do want to
illegal
point out
alien
this
truck.
large tree coming up on our right, though, called the baobab, or upside-down tree. They go leafless about 9 months out of the year, but they can store a massive amount of water inside their gigantic trucks. Right now, we're headed down to a completely different ecosystem. And actually, this is one of my personal favorite views on the entire reserve. This is the Serengeti grassland, a super highway for millions of migrating animal species each year. And also home to some of the more famous animals like this reticulated giraffe down here. There's actually 2 of them, both over here on our right-hand side. Reticulated giraffe get their name from the Latin word reticulata, which means net, referring to the net-like pattern of their coats, which are kind of like a human fingerprint, and the no 2 giraffes have exactly the same pattern. Reticulated giraffe are also the tallest of the giraffe species, making them the world's tallest land animal, growing to be about 18 to 20 feet tall, but they actually only have the same number of vertebrae in their neck as we do, though theirs are obviously much larger. Their height, combined with their keen eyesight, is a great natural defense against predators. Now, the Serengeti grassland stretches for hundreds of miles across East Africa, and the landscape out here is really created by the animals. Elephants, for example, are kind of like natural bulldozers. See, they knock down trees to test their strength and eat their leaves. Giraffes are like pruning shears. They eat the undersides of trees, which allows light to shine through so new grasses can grow and spread. Antelope will then mow down the grasses like these Patterson's land over here on our left-hand side, those tan antelope, kind of behind the bushes there. Patterson's land are the largest antelope in all of Africa, growing to be about 6 feet tall at the shoulder and about 2,000 pounds each. And then completing the cycle, little nibblers like gazelles and warthogs will then trim up the edges of those grasses. In a well-balanced society, there's enough food for everybody, and there's a lot that we can learn from these animals. On our left-hand side, there are a couple of really tiny little tan gazelles. Oh, actually, you know what? They're on either side of us. These are really tiny little tan gazelles with the black racing stripes called Thompson's gazelle. But no one in Africa calls them Thompson's gazelle. They're Tommies. Tommies. And they only weigh about 60 pounds each, so surprisingly enough, these fellows are full-grown. Their small size gives them a huge advantage, though, because they can run about 50 miles per hour in a quick zigzag pattern that helps them evade predators, like their primary predator, the cheetah. And I'm not surprised we saw them out here by these large termite mounds, because once they've been worn down, they're often used by some of the smaller animals as a lookout point for predators. They're only made of dirt and termite saliva, but they're hard as concrete. Looks like there's at least 3 more giraffes coming up ahead here as well. And one of the cute little Tommies is crossing the road. Now, speaking of predators, as a little bit of background, the Harambe Wildlife Reserve was established back in 1971 to protect our local wildlife. Over the years, many of the animals have gotten used to the presence of the trucks and the presence of people, which on one hand is great for us because sometimes they come right up to the trucks to say hello. But unfortunately, it has also made them vulnerable to the most dangerous threat of all. And out here in the African wild, that's poaching and illegal hunting. Now, obviously, we're going to have a great view of these Maasai giraffe over here on the left-hand side, but they're actually a completely different species than those reticulated giraffe that we saw earlier. You can tell they're a little bit shorter, and they also have more of a dark and jagged pattern to their coats, almost like a maple leaf pattern. They're doing exactly what giraffes do. They stand and they eat. It's actually very rare for us to even see one lying down because it leaves their neck exposed to predators. And they only break from eating to sleep for about 30 minutes a day. It's not even 30 minutes at a time, but about 5-minute increments, making them one of the most active animals here on the reserve.
Oh, look at that.
Come around the corner here, there are a couple more grazing animals up ahead. We're gonna have a great view of these Ankoli cattle on the right-hand side. These dark, rusty-colored fellows with gigantic horns. Just those horns alone grow to be about 6 feet long, 6 feet tip to tip, but they're actually hollow, full of blood vessels that help them to regulate their body temperature, almost like a natural radiator system. Quite a few white-bearded wildebeest out here as well, the gray grazing animals. White-bearded wildebeest, also called gnu after the sound that they make, have the largest migration pattern in all of Africa. Over 1.5 million of them will cross the savannah each year. Speaking of the black-bearded wildebeest.
Scott didn't respond. Oh, my phone.
Now keep your eyes on the tall grasses and shrubbery. Many of the animals will retreat to the shade because they like to keep cool just as much as we do. That's not really a problem right now.
Simba 1, this is Wilson. What is your location? Over.
Right near Monkey Point, headed toward elephant country. Why?
Keep your eyes open for me. We picked up a baby elephant that was wandering off on its own. We can't find the mother. I'm afraid poachers may be in the reserve.
Roger that, Wilson. We'll definitely keep our eyes open for you. Now, Wilson's awfully concerned because baby elephants have the second longest childhood in the animal kingdom, normally staying with their mothers for about 13 to 15 years, so it's very, very rare to see one wandering off on their own like they did. As the wardens always say, though, Formacho, Rawajangili, which means grow eyes for poachers. Only by working together can we help maintain Harambe as a safe haven for homeless animals. And I did mention that we're right near Monkey Point, which gets its name from a colony of mandrill monkeys out here, and you can see a couple of them walking around over on our left-hand side, right up on top of the rocks. There's another one perched down there. Mandrills are the largest monkey in all of Africa, growing to be about 100 pounds each. Actually, a couple more in the bushes here as well. I'd like to get us right into the heart of elephant country, try to spot a few and help Wilson out if we can. Sounds like we're looking up a Harambe radio station here, though. Huh. Well, it looks like my normal road is closed up ahead. Oh, no, it's actually gone. Okay. Let us happen sometimes out here. I guess we'll just have to see if we can't stunt down this other way instead. Maybe we should call the wardens about that. Nah, you know what? I'm sure it'll be fun. I'm gonna go ahead and switch that off though, because we do have another pretty rickety looking bridge up ahead here. Once again, just remember to stay seated for me, please, folks. Hands and arms inside, because actually it looks like it's being held together by bits of wire. So I'm just gonna go pole, which means very slowly. Alright, I see that's got our way. We're stable, we should be okay. We tend to overreact about that. Oh, we're not okay. We're not okay. Leave to the right, folks, leave to the right! Okay, that hurts. No, don't move a muscle. Oh, almost there. And we made it! Everybody okay back there? Oh, every day's an adventure here at Kilimanjaro Safaris, and of course, that's my normal bridge, safe and sound. That figures, right? Well, actually, you know what that should mean? Yeah, you know what? These are the red clay pits that Wilson mentioned earlier. You can see elephant tusk marks in the clay and elephant footprints on the ground. That's because elephants actually eat that red clay to get essential minerals that they don't get from their everyday diet. But despite there are some signs elephants are vegetarians, that being said, they can't eat as much as 300 pounds of vegetation each day, which is why they use that clay to supplement their diet. Now, that all being said, they have become increasingly rare for us to spot because unfortunately both the males and females have those large ivory tusks, which have made them a prime target for poaching, and even here on the reserve, they're not completely safe. So, wildlife researchers right here on the reserve are studying elephant communication patterns in an effort to figure out what we can best do to better understand and hopefully in turn better protect these magnificent creatures, of which it looks like we're going to get a great view of a couple over here on our left-hand side. Seems like we've stumbled across an elephant family group. Elephants are matriarchal societies. So elephant family groups normally consist of that group of adult females banded together to raise their young. Elephant males tend to wander off on their own, maybe sometimes form bachelor groups. Looks like there's a couple more a little bit further up ahead here that we might be able to get an even better view of. And one of the many ways we tell the different elephant species apart is the shape of their ears. These elephants' ears are completely coincidentally shaped a little bit like the continent of Africa. And they use them to keep their bodies cool. You'll see them waving them in the wind. Not only do they fan themselves with them, but it helps keep their internal body temperatures down as well because they're full of blood vessels. As we pull forward up to the watering hole here, I do see a couple of younger elephants up ahead that we're going to have a great view of. Looks like they just disappeared behind some rock. Let's still get a view of some adult elephant. Sharing the water hole with the elephants today is a whole flock of greater flamingos coming up to our left here. Greater flamingos are the lightest pink color of all the flamingo species, but they're actually not born pink. No, they're born kind of a grayish color. They slowly turn pink over time thanks to their diet, which consists mostly of tiny brine shrimp that are high in beta-carotene. And actually, if you look really closely, you can see a great example of that out there. There are a couple of younger flamingos that are about adult size nowadays, but still haven't quite earned their pink color. Forward here, it looks like we're gonna have some great views of some white rhinos up ahead. White rhino are one of my personal favorites. They're much larger than their cousin the black rhino, weighing in at about 5,000 pounds each. And lucky for us, they're also much less aggressive. In fact, they tend to live in large family groups just like this one. And for the most part, they're pretty polite and social. The only reason they really will spook is because of their poor eyesight. If you're standing about 100 feet away and not moving, they probably couldn't spot you well at all. White is actually not a reflection of their color, though, but a mistranslation of the Afrikaans word "white," which means wide, referring to their wide, square jaws. And they're one of our greatest success stories. At one time, they had been poached nearly to extinction. However, through widespread anti-poaching and conservation efforts, their numbers have now been returned to a much more sustainable level. Excellent news for the white rhino. If you are seated on the right-hand side and you take a look down on the ground, you might be able to spot a couple of eggs down there. Those are ostrich eggs, the largest of all bird eggs. They weigh about 3 pounds each, and they're very, very thick, so they don't actually require all that much attention from the ostrich mother. Another good view of these white rhinos over here on the left. I'm not surprised we saw them out here by the mud pits, because they will roll in the mud to keep their bodies cool, and then the dirt acts like a natural sunblock on their backs.
Simba 1, I see you at the junction. I suggest you go west. It will be worth it.
Roger that, Wilson. Will do. Okay, now we're not going to have too good of a view, but if you look directly up on this hillside to our left, you might see a couple of sleeping cheetahs up there, right by those patches of tall grass. Now, cheetahs are, of course, the world's fastest land animal. They can run about 60 to 70 miles per hour, but they can only maintain that speed for a short distance, about a quarter of a mile at a time. Now, combine that with their keen eyesight, and they're actually daytime hunters, unlike most of the African predators. Now, cheetahs have been heavily poached for their coat, so just another great example that no matter where you live, you can help protect wild animals and wild places by supporting local conservation efforts.
Sandor! Cheetah hunt? No.
John, a pretty pretty large rock formation coming up in front of us here called the Kopi.
Sorry, did I just remember the whole
Kopi's
thing?
jut out across the savannah and are often used by big cats as a lookout point for prey. And we don't have too good of a view from this side, but there is actually a male lion. It looks like he's sleeping right at the base of these rocks over here by the squiggly looking tree up there. You might be able to get a better view around the corner. You might just sort of be able to see the tufts of his mane from this angle. Now, male lions do sleep about 18 to 20 hours a day, so when we do get a chance to see them, it's a pretty typical view. They do also stay home to protect their territory, though, using their famous roar that can be heard from over 5.5 miles away.
Look at those bells.
I'll keep our eyes out for any other members of their pride. Now, lions do hunt in groups called prides, so it's normally average somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 members. It is the females, though, that do most of the hunting in large groups called prides. Like I just said, one of the very few big cat species to do that. Where they couldn't quite outrun a cheetah, they can get up to about 50 miles per hour and leap up to 13 yards at a time. More aloe species coming up on our left-hand side up on top of the rocks here called scimitar horned oryx, which get their name from the Middle Eastern scimitar sword that resemble their long curved horns, which are going to be about 42 inches long. There's actually some on either side of us. Scimitar horned oryx are another great success story, having been reintroduced into the wild into places they'd nearly become extinct previously. Let's see, I see some large burrows on the ground here. I wonder if there's any burrowing animals around. Oh yeah, you know what? There are a couple of warthogs sleeping in one of these burrows down here to our left-hand side. Warthogs are the largest burrowing mammal in Africa. At night they'll back into their burrows because it leaves their tusks exposed, but don't be fooled. It's not the large upper tusks you have to worry about. Those are mostly used for digging. They actually have a second set of hidden lower tusks that are razor sharp. And they don't have the most athletic physique warthogs, but they can get up to about, well, 30 miles per hour. A couple more antelope coming up on our right here. This white fellow with the corkscrew-looking horns is called an addax. Addax are a type of desert antelope that don't actually need to drink very much water. They get most of the water they need from the food that they eat. The really small brown antelope laying down way off on the right-hand side out there are called bontabak. Bontabak have been extremely heavily poached for their coats to the point that they're actually now considered to be extinct in the wild. The only place you can't see them on reserves like ours. Please do remember to stay fully seated, though. That's very, very important.
Jambo, there are poachers in the area. Can you help us cut them off?
Wilson, I'm right in the middle of a safari, but I guess we need our help. Folks, nothing to write home about. These usually turn out to be false alarms. I'll just head down this way, make sure we can't spot anything unusual. Oh, but actually... Hey, Wilson, if you're still in radio range, I'm right by the Magani Hot Springs gates, and it looks like they've been completely smashed through and the lock broken. No way, it's a false alarm. How can we help?
The poachers are heading east. Keep going, and you drive them to my patrol. Over.
East, I don't know which way east is. Oh, wait, those are geysers up ahead, folks. This might have been a bad idea. Hang on. Whoops. Oh, so much steam in the air, I can barely... Oh, more geysers. Not much choice. It looks like we're going in. Oh, we're not gonna make it. We're not gonna... Oh, but actually, I see something through the mist up ahead. It looks like the poacher's camp. There's ivory dust on the ground, but it looks deserted. I think we must be... I think we're too late.
Oh, not to worry. You drove them right into my patrol.
Oh, excellent news, Wilson, but what happened? Did you catch them?
The poachers ran, but they won't get far. We located them out ahead of us. Thanks to you, they are now both safe. Asante Sana, everyone.
All right, Asante Sana, Wilson.
I have to do now. We have to get this baby out of the back to his father.
All right, well, thanks very much, folks, for your help with that little elephant emergency. I'm glad we were able to help Wilson out. That has put us just a little bit off our scheduled trek, though. I'm not actually sure. Oh, yeah, I know where you are, right in the heart of the Pongani Forest, so I am going to have to go ahead and drop you folks off at the nearest warden's post. Don't worry, though, from there it'll be just a short walk back to Harambe Village. Or if you don't want your animal adventure to end quite yet, you can head down that Pongani Forest Exploration Trail. A great opportunity to see meerkats, gorillas, and a whole bunch of other animals we didn't get to see out there today. Now's a great time to start double-checking the net bags in front of you. Make sure you do have all of your personal belongings. Things do tend to fall out of pockets out there, so please double-check the floor, double-check your seat packs, make sure you do have everything. Now, also down that Pongani Forest Exploration Trail, you might get a chance to see underwater hippo viewing, naked mole rats, and our Endangered Species Rehabilitation Center, which is currently home to some black and white Angolan colobus monkeys. And like I said, other animals we didn't get to see out there as well, and that's going to be just outside the warden's post once they drop you folks off right by the stroller parking area. Now, if I've learned anything in my time out there, it's that there are always rewards for those who go out exploring, so keep that in mind during the rest of your day today. Like the Maharaja Jungle Trek, great opportunity to see bats, Komodo dragons, maybe even tigers right up close. Or the Tree of Life Trails, a series of unmarked trails at the base of the Tree of Life with red kangaroo, African crested porcupine, and other various bird and fish species. Here in Harambe, we don't like to say goodbye to our friends. It sounds much too final. So instead we use the Swahili word kwaherini, which means go well. So kwaherini, folks. Watch your hands and arms on the right, watch your head and step as you exit. Once again, my name is Alex. On behalf of all of us here at Kilimanjaro Safaris, I'd like to invite you to come on back and see us again anytime, because no two safaris are ever alike, and the animals certainly do make sure of that. Till then, enjoy the rest of your adventure out there in Africa, or wherever your travels might take you. Kwaherini.